Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody? It is Devon Johnson with the Showtime Forum post-game show. Super grateful that everybody is here, man. It's a Sunday night, and the Lakers took care of business, took the Rockets to church today, and it was a convincing blowout win as far as I'm concerned, 120-102. Really was never a point when it was not in hand. Lakers came out aggressive, came out dominant, did their thing. And to be honest with you, man, like there's really not much more that you could ask for out of this team, in what they did. What they did tonight shows you once again. We talked about this the last post game. When they win by double digits, it's because they're playing pretty much at optimum capacity. Now, honestly, not everybody played the best they could play. But for the most part, people stood up and people took over the game when they needed to, did what they had to do, played their role, stepped up, and did their thing. So tonight, the Lakers win wasn't even close. And just so we're not, kind of foo-fooing this, the Rockets are a legitimate team. They're obviously trying to figure some stuff out. Harden, we're not sure what's going to happen with him and his future. They're adding in new pieces. They haven't had a big for a while, so now they have Christian Wood back in there. But for the most part, and a new coach, and a new GM. So there's a lot of new stuff going on. But this team has talent. John Wall, James Harden, Christian Wood, Gordon, PJ Tucker. And one of the biggest issues that I saw was with the very opening statement. So there are going to be games that we're going to see, like we saw tonight, where the referees are calling the game a certain kind of way, and you can tell the temperament of the referees up front. Some games they're a little bit more lenient, joking and laughing with the players. In other games, they're very strict, and their temperament is very much more serious. And tonight it was that. They showed that in the very beginning. I don't even remember how many technicals got called in this game. All black everything. I see you, my man, in Periscope. I don't know how many technicals were called, but what I do know is that when we saw what happened with Markieff Morris and we saw what happened with Boogie Cousins, that should have been the tone setter, really, for how the referees were going to call it. And if you notice, the Lakers kind of toned down their talk towards the referees. Caruso, of course, got a technical. And if Caruso gets a technical, then you know that they're calling the game strict. That's one of the most wholesome dudes we got on the team. But you saw how that temperament was working, and because Boogie got thrown out and Keith got thrown out, and they're not similar, they're not the same kind of players. Boogie is a much bigger piece for the Rockets than Keith is for the Lakers. But you saw that once they figured out how the refs were going to call the game, it was immediate attack mode after that. Yeah. Everybody scored except him. So this is what I want to talk about, guys. I can't wait to talk to you guys tonight. We have so much to talk about. Chaz is not here again tonight, but we're gonna make this work tonight. I'm really excited because this is what we saw tonight. We saw the aggressive AD. Now let me explain why this is so important. What we see in these games where he's only scoring maybe 15, 17 points, we've seen a couple of these games already. He's not aggressive. He doesn't seem like he's really too far into the game. He's jogging down the court. That's not what you saw tonight. What you saw tonight was an Anthony Davis from the get-go. Now, he had 27 points. He was a plus 29. And really, most of these points came in the early minutes. He came out hot. 7 for 7 at one point, was not missing. Hitting techs, hitting free throws, the whole nine. He was doing his thing. What we know is this. When AD is activated and aggressive, he is the most dominant player in the NBA next to LeBron James. There is nobody else that can do what Anthony Davis can do on both ends of the floor when he gets aggressive. The key is this. What makes him aggressive? And we found out what it is. We've had enough sample size now, not just season, but last season. Christian Wood came out and said, and it wasn't disrespectful, Christian Wood came out and said he had this game circled on his calendar. He wanted to go up against AD. He was going to give him everything he got. These are quotes that he was saying. Anthony Davis had to have been triggered by that. There had to have been some kind of bulletin board material, some kind of discussion about it. Whatever the case may be, it caused Anthony Davis to come out aggressive and make his case up front. And the truth is, Christian Wood is a tremendous player. He actually did good tonight, 23 points on 10 of 15 shooting, but he couldn't do anything about that monster named Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis came out 3 blocks, 4 rebounds, 27 points. That matters. And really, he only played 30 minutes. And most of those minutes really didn't matter once the lead was up. It really was just trying to get other people involved. Anthony Davis, when he is aggressive, cannot be stopped. All black everything. Laker dominance. The potential man is scary. Missed you guys last game. Yeah, man. Listen. I'm glad you're back here, man. So good to see you. The potential of this team is crazy, and it's not just the potential. This is what teams know. The teams around the league know this. Okay, the teams around the league know that it's only a matter of time before the Lakers figure it out. When the Lakers really figure it, and they haven't really figured it out. They haven't really figured it out yet. When the Lakers figure it out, it's really over. It really is over. And this is not hyperbole. This is not overstating something. This is not even being a prisoner of the moment. This is why the Lakers were picked to win when they very first got the team together. When they very first got the team together. They were picked to win because when you look at the stats on paper, you're going, oh my God. Yo, man, that's really scary. Now, here's the difference. Other teams have great players on their squad. Other teams have look at the Rockets. The Rockets have a tremendous squad. James Harden, Gordon, Boogie, Christian Wood, John Wall. I mean, you're talking about some legit players who can give you double digits every night, double doubles, triple doubles on any given night. Okay, so this is a legitimate squad. Here's the difference between teams who have a bunch of talent and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers have the binding glue called chemistry, and it's led by the leader, LeBron James. Chemistry matters when you have a collection of talent because then it gives the people the ability to be free, to be themselves, and not try to prove themselves, and it keeps egos in check. It makes everybody a family, and you're seeing the difference. You have a roster full of talent with the Rockets, and they're dysfunctional. You see a roster full of talent with the Lakers, and they're constantly communicating, talking about how they can get better, and they won by 18 points tonight. That is the difference between us and other teams. And what other teams are afraid of is they know that even though it's still a roster on paper that hasn't totally proven itself yet, they know the binding glue named LeBron James and that chemistry he brings makes a difference. Everybody scored except Morris. That's right, Leonard Buchanan on Periscope. Yeah, and he only played 3 minutes because apparently they utilized Morris as the guinea pig, the scapegoat tonight. To just show the referees were letting people know, listen, we're not going for it tonight. We're not standing for it. Some refs would let what happened go. They wouldn't even worry about it. But tonight they got Morris out of there. Now I'm not mad at it. I think Morris is probably he's probably upset he got kicked out, but I don't think anybody's tripping. The Chicago game performance of him and the team got them ready tonight. Yeah, Leonard Buchanan, right? And isn't that crazy? When they're not playing well and they're lethargic and they're lazy and they're really kind of skating by, they can still win a game. But when they decide to get on it, you saw that first quarter. That first quarter showed everything. That first quarter is exactly why teams don't like playing the Lakers, or when they do play the Lakers, they try to come hard in the beginning. Because if the Lakers ever decide to turn it on, tonight is what happens. Once again, we're going to play them again, so it's not like this is the only game. And you're probably going to see a different game the next time. Boogie's probably going to stay in, although this is the second time he's been tossed out in 10 games, so who knows, okay? But we do know it's going to be a different game, but the Lakers have to know that if they decide, to come out aggressive, it's going to make a difference. And Christian Wood gave them the motivation. That's the last thing. We saw this in the playoffs. We saw this last year in the season. When you disrespect the Lakers, it's okay if they lose. Okay, you can beat them and they're not going to trip. But when you start putting things in the paper like, I've been circling this game, I've been circling these games on the calendar, even though it was respectful and he wants to go at the champs, I get it. That's wonderful and great. But the last thing you want to do is wake up a sleeping giant. Groove and all, everyone was firing except for Kuzma with a -4. THT needs more time. McKinney needs more time. Now, I'm glad you guys said that. Obviously, Kuzma has been the source of conversation for really, the last, year? Ever since the trade went down for LeBron James and Kuzma was kept and the other guys were gone, the conversation has been about, okay, well, is this guy legit? And the truth is that Kuzma, tonight was the first night that I legitimately thought, you know what, it's looking like he may not fit as well. Now, with that being said, Kuzma did have 13 points, even though he was a -4, 5 of 12 shooting, 3 of 8 from 3. So he didn't have like a necessarily bad game, but always, you guys will know me when it comes to Kuzma. I'm okay with his points. What I'm looking for is his rebounding and where was he effective in other areas of the game. And tonight he didn't really have it going. He didn't really commit any fouls. He had 3 turnovers, but he only had 2 rebounds, which for me is a little weird when you're playing 24 minutes with this length and everything like that. And the Rockets really aren't a long team. Well, outside of Christian Wood, they really don't have length. So for me, that's where Kuzma should shine. He should be active on the boards and things like that, especially when Morris is out. When Morris is out, then that's even more rebounds that you should be getting. Those are rebounds that he would normally be getting. Those should be coming to you. And that wasn't the case tonight. Harrell made up for it with 8 rebounds, 2 of those being offensive. So Kuzma has to figure out something, man, really quick, because every game, whether we win or whether we lose, it's just we're looking for Kuzma to have a consistent impact. We know just about everybody else. We know that Quinn Cook is going to give us threes. He's going to run the point a little bit in garbage time, and Quinn can score. You get him off of that curl, you get him on a catch and shoot, Quinn can score. He can even get to the cup. Little undersized, so he doesn't see passing lanes as well. But he can shoot, and we know that. We know that Dudley can shoot as well. We know that his role is to make sure he keeps that chemistry right, and he rides that bench, and he stays ready, and he sets a work ethic in practice. We know that. We know what everybody else does. We know what THT does. We know what Caruso does on the defensive end. We know what every other single person does. What we don't know is Kuzma's identity. And if he doesn't find an identity on this team, it's actually going to stick out like a sore thumb. Chemistry-wise, he's fine. The guys love him. He loves the guys. The organization loves him. And as much as we talk about him, us as fans, we love him. But the issue is that when he doesn't have an identity that we can point to, it makes it hard to put him into situations where he's needed. If we need stops, you throw in a KCP and a Caruso. If you need buckets, or you need someone to take the ball off the dribble, you can throw in a THT and, of course, a Schroeder. If you need someone to be just a tank in the paint, you got Marc Gasol, who did fairly well for me tonight, only 2 of 6, but he was aggressive with 6 points and a +3 in the plus-minus category. We know what everybody else does, and we know when we can utilize them. We don't know what we can do with Kuzma. Now, he hit 3s tonight, but you don't know when they're going to come, and you don't know when they're going to go. You don't know if he can take people off the dribble. You don't know when he's going to decide to rebound, and you really don't know if he's going to be able to hold his defense up. So until he locks in with an identity that they can point to, choose a thing and be that thing, it's going to be an issue for him on this team. All Black everything, it's safe to say THT is in the rotation, and he's 20. You saw that 3-guard set with AC Dennis. It's fire. Absolutely. Now, let me just temper expectations real quick as we go over to here real quick. This is a good and this is a positive and a negative, and I want you guys to hear me out. THT is no longer a kid. He's 20 years old, but his game has shown that he's far more mature in his understanding. Now, there are obvious areas of growth that are needed. This we cannot deny. There are moments where he suffers, he lacks on the defensive end. There was one tonight where he completely walked away from Boogie Cousins in the first quarter while Boogie was at the 3-point line, and I don't know where THT thought he was going or rotating to, but Boogie was left wide open and just shot the 3 and made it. I don't know if he did a scouting report or not, but Boogie's not somebody you leave alone on the 3-point line. There are moments he's going to have defensive lapses. And there's going to be moments like tonight where he shines. Just kind of painting that picture here. You guys see his point total. He did what he did tonight with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals in 21 minutes. Now, this is the reason why everybody keeps saying he needs more minutes. Now, Kuzma had 24 minutes and didn't do nearly as much as that, okay? Now, this is not to compare because the 2 different types of players. THT and Kuzma are 2 different types of players with 2 different skill sets, if I'm being honest, okay? But this is what we know. THT still needs time to be groomed. This is what we know. He needs time to be groomed. But he needs to have games like this that can continue to show us where his growth pattern is going. So if you're looking at this now, this was the 11th game for the Lakers in a 70-plus game season. By the time we get to the playoffs, God forbid anything stops the NBA or injuries or any of that stuff. We're seeing a lot of this stuff pop up with COVID. But God forbid any of that stuff happens and we just go on like we normally should. By the time he gets to that 70th game, his ups and his downs are going to equate to high hills in much shorter valleys. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're going to start seeing his issues or his slumps or his defensive lapses. You're going to start seeing that shorten. It won't be as deep or for as many games. He had a couple of bad games in the stretch, okay? But you're going to start seeing that come down to one game, a few quarters, moments here and there. But his ceiling is going to get higher and higher. It's very possible. You're going to see a stretch of games in this season where this kid is hitting 20-plus points every game consistently. When you start seeing that, start looking at whose minutes are getting taken away. When we look at this roster right now, there's only one person that we can see where those minutes get taken away from. It's not Caruso. It's not Caruso. It's Kuz. Okay? We have to be realists. And in a time of 2020 and 2021 where there seems to be a lack of understanding of what truth is and what truth is not, we here as Laker fans have to be realistic with ourselves. By the time the end of the season comes, if Kuzma has not found his identity, THT will take those minutes. Not because Kuzma's bad, but he just doesn't fit the way THT fits. Now, the team has confidence in both, but this is not a kid anymore. This is not somebody that you can say, oh, he'll get minutes when he gets older. No. His game is already starting to mature right in front of our eyes. And we can't even call him a kid. 20 years old is one thing, but his mentality on that court, his confidence, his aggressiveness, his ability to listen and be coached, and he's surrounded by champions. I just don't think we understand that what we're watching right now is the birthing of something that could be great. Now, for everybody else, they may look at THT and be like, oh, he's just another role player. But you're looking at somebody who could legitimately turn into a star. Think back. Remember when we first saw Brandon Ingram start to blossom into something? I'm not talking about when he first played his first 10 or 15 games. I'm talking about right before he got traded. And we started noticing this guy is legit. Like, Brandon Ingram can score anytime he wants. Remember the evolution that we saw. We saw the potential in his length and his arms and his frame. And we're like, he gets a little heavier, but if he can kind of get going, he'll be good. And then we started watching him. His frame started filling out a little bit, and he started finding his mid-range game. He started finding his aggressiveness and getting to the cup. We're seeing very similar parallels with THT. You're watching somebody who has physical stature and skills that are far different than anybody else on the team. And this guy is a walking bucket. The difference is this. Brandon Ingram wasn't surrounded by champions. He wasn't surrounded by champions when he was on the team. He had to be the star of the team. THT doesn't. And that makes it much more cohesive for him to grow into the chemistry. Brandon Ingram was never going to fit with this team because he's an alpha by himself and he can do all of those things, and he grew and he had to do it from the mud. But this kid is learning around champions. He's learning about the chemistry and teammate stuff. And I really think that he's going to be an asset for this team for years to come. Let's keep going. Everyone, Blake Sinclair, everybody, welcome to my way of thinking about Kuzma. I've been patiently waiting here for you all. I will say this, Blake. I still don't think he's getting traded. I think his minutes may get decreased. It's really going to be about his identity. I think Kuzma has tremendous skills. I think he has the mindset to get it done. I'm not out on Kuzma. Let me just make that very clear. It's not about who I'm out or who I'm on with. If we're being honest, I'm not out on him. But what I am saying is that the reality that we have to sit with is that his minutes may get decreased if THT keeps growing at the rate that he currently is. THT and AC work great together, and that's from Groovenall on Twitch. Yes, absolutely. They do work great together, and you're going to see that chemistry on the defensive end working far better as the season progresses. Alex Caruso learned how to play with Rondo, learned how to play with Avery Bradley. He kind of learned his way around that, and that's why you can see the units doing stuff together. I don't know if you guys remember that, my favorite picture of Alex Caruso, when there was the breakaway and the entire team, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, everybody, they're all running with Alex Caruso because they all understood the defensive set so much, they knew that it was going to be a fast break, and they all just took off and celebrated. That level of chemistry is coming for this team. It may not be as strong defensively, but it's going to start with THT and KCP. And while we're at it, we can just go back to KCP real quick. Isn't it good to have him back? Isn't it good to have KCP back? Now, he didn't do much tonight that you would think of. He's a plus 14, had 7 points, and was 1 of 4 from 3. But just his presence on the defensive end, only played 22 minutes tonight, but his defensive presence made a difference. It was what we were lacking in those games. So part of our issues that we had, even in the wins that were close, I really do contribute to the fact that KCP was not on the floor. And I know we make fun of not Vogel, but Pelinka, but he really is like manna from heaven. Like, he really gives us what we need. He did it in the finals. He did it in the playoffs. He did it late in the season. He's doing it now. When he shows up on the offensive or defensive end, he makes a complete difference to the roster, and it frees up people like Caruso and THT to come play cleanup off the bench and really put the defensive clamps down and be able to secure leads and keep those double-digit leads as they did tonight. David on Periscope, Chaz, start Kuz, laugh out loud. Listen, I'll say this. Once again, I'm gonna give you both sides of the reality of it. Here's the reality, and this is gonna be a good problem to have. If Kuzma does find his identity, offensively and defensively, or either or, if he finds that, you're gonna see his minutes increase. He may not start, but now you're looking at Alex Caruso, Montrez, Kuzma, THT, Markieff Morris. Now you're starting to see how your bottom part of your the bench rotation will fill out. Could you imagine that? Markieff Morris being able to stretch out the 4 or even possibly the 5, depending on who plays it. Trez, who was a monster in the paint tonight, with his energy. Caruso and THT in the backcourt being able to handle the defensive end, and Kuzma being able to catch and shoot. All of if you can get that cohesion going, that second unit is bananas, man. But I do not think it's going to work in the starting lineup. I think Kuzma has solidified himself as a role player, not because he's bad, but because it's the best fit for this team. A lot of us remember when Lamar Odom was struggling on team to team to team, and he ended up on the Lakers. And Phil made the conversation with him and said, "Hey, listen, I need you to come off the bench." Lamar Odom had one of his best seasons statistically that he ever had, and was a key piece to the Lakers team that year. I think that's the same thing that we're looking for Kuz. Can you accept this role of being the sixth man, along with the Montrezl Harrell, who was a reigning sixth man of the year, and be able to help this second unit become a solidified second 5 that would just dominate when the starters are out? I think that, to me, would be the best case scenario for Kuzma. Winston Mobile Apps on Periscope. The Lakers played a lot better defense tonight than they have been for the last 2 weeks. This is very true. I contribute that once again to a healthy Caruso and a KCP coming back, but we can't leave the fact that THT had 4 steals and Anthony Davis had 3 blocks. Anthony Davis was aggressive on the defensive end. That makes a difference. Okay, THT was picking pockets, picked Harden's pocket tonight. Those things make a difference in how the defensive identity is played out. When the defense is not aggressive from some of your main players, your Carusos or your ADs, when it's not being aggressive from that end, it leaves the team lacking because we don't have the same size we had before. And so there's going to be a lot heavier role and responsibility on some of these players to stay consistent throughout the game. You can't relax and trust that Dwight's going to come from the weak side if you get blown by from the 3-point line. You have to be able to stick with your man all the way through the play and do it consistently. That's a luxury that we didn't have. We had a luxury last year of not having to do that. We could let people go by us and feed them and funnel them into the middle, and they had to meet JaVale or Dwight. You don't have that. You got Marc Gasol and Trez, who are great players in their own strength, but different skill set. So you're going to start seeing that as they learn how to adjust to the defensive consistency. You're going to start seeing that. Groovin' All, you put 2 energy defensive guys like AC and THT together, the other team is smothered. Absolutely. THT's length, AC's ability, and this is what I love about Alex Caruso. It's not just that he is playing defense, but now with Rondo being gone, he is the defensive. He's the defensive speaker, if you will. He's the one who's calling out stuff, calling out where the defense should be, because he has a good IQ about it, and he's been there. Okay, so he understands it. He knows what he's doing. So you have THT's length and you have AC's IQ. You're putting that together. It's insane. AD played like AD tonight. Thank you very much, Winston Mobile Apps. That's exactly what I wanted to say. He played like AD tonight. Listen, what we saw tonight wasn't even his best game. It wasn't even his best, but it wasn't necessary. The man only shot 12 shots tonight. He was 9 of 12 tonight. He only shot 12 shots, 27 points, 30 minutes. That's AD on cruise control. Now, what we saw, the lazy AD is what gives us 15 points in 32 minutes, okay? But what we saw tonight is him. Okay, and once again, I have to keep saying this. When you activate that aggressiveness, we have learned the key now that when other teams talk, it gets him going. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that we saw last year in the playoffs when he's talking to the bench and he's patting his chest saying, "I'm that guy." All of that comes because somebody said something, and when that gets triggered, he's out there and he's gone. Okay, now what we would love is if he can turn that out without somebody having to say something. But tonight, he showed it. James White, my brother, right here in Houston. THT can scratch his knees while standing up. I love him. He's so long, guys. I just don't think you understand. And it's hard because none of us have been to Laker games in so long that we haven't been able to see this dude see him on the court. And if you've never been to a Laker game or a basketball game in general, what you're seeing on TV is not an accurate representation of how big these players are. When you see Boogie in real life, that man is a giant. He is not small. When you see AD in real life, that man is a giant, okay? When you look at THT's arms, it's insane how long they are, and he has great control over them. He doesn't flail them around. He's not just randomly, you know what I mean? He has length that goes with his size, and he's bulky. The kid is bulky, okay? Chicago, Midwesterner, man, like he's got the girth to be able to handle what he's got to do. And he has incredible handles. Because of his length, it makes it very hard. Once again, Lamar Odom-esque is what I'm seeing from this guy. Leo K, does anyone watch in the NBA anymore? I don't. You do know what you tuned into tonight, right? Winston Mobile Labs, Kuzma is soft. Some nights, good nights, other nights, bad. He has to be more consistent. I won't call him soft. I reserve that for the context of how Kobe used it with Dwight when they were playing against each other. I don't think Kuzma's soft. I think he's struggling. I think all of the tangibles are there. The boy can shoot. That has not gone away. The boy can shoot. When Kuzma's going, you can't stop him, okay? He can cut to the basket. He can get to the hole. He can do all of those things. The issue is that that's not what they're asking him to do. And from the first time in his career, I'm talking about Utah, even into the summer league, into when he was playing with just the young rookies, he's not being asked to do what he's being asked to do since AD got here. We saw his game suffer as soon as AD got when it was just LeBron and Kuzma worked so well together. It's the reason why they kept him. Because he wasn't putting up a lot of shots. But his ability to cut and know where LeBron wanted him to be and being in corners and stuff like that. That's what kept him. But now he's being asked to be something different. And he's struggling with that. I wouldn't call it soft. If you've ever gone to a new job, okay? Just want you to think about this. You ever gone to a new job and the first few months you're doing great. And then they start handing you things to do that were not on the job description of when you got hired. Now, you love the job, you love the organization, but you're not really sure how to do this. The company has grace for you. They're not going to fire you. They just want you to do it. You're not going to be as happy going to work. You're not going to be as consistent in your quality because you're trying to figure out how to do something that you weren't necessarily hired for. When he first got drafted, they drafted him and they saw him in summer league and they're like, you're a scorer. And then AD shows up and they go, well, we don't really need scoring from you. We need you to be able to rebound and play defense. And the job description changed for him. Wouldn't call him soft. I call him struggling. If it clicks, he's going to be a dynamic player, and this can only help his game. But if it doesn't, he's going to have some issues going forward. Blake Sinclair. Let me turn that back around. Kuzma still plays like he is in college. No. When he was in college, and especially going in the summer league, he was a scorer. KCP has turned into a dog. KCP is a matter of a difference. Let me just tell you that he makes a difference in this team. Blake Sinclair, missing Kuzma's identity. Reward if found. Contact the Lakers organization for more information. He's gonna find it, guys. Listen. I hear you, man. You're gonna hear me cape up for this guy because if he did not have talent, let me just tell you. Let me be honest with you, okay? Because we've survived some really bad years, and I want to make sure we put into perspective some of the guys that we had. Okay, what I equate Kuzma to is what I equated Jordan Clarkson to. When Jordan Clarkson was first here, you could see that he could do some things, but it just seemed like he was struggling on certain games. Now, of course, when he moved and got away from the Lakers and was able to find a different team and a different scheme setup, he took off. That's why he got that big contract that he got. Here, Kuzma's locked in here, so he has to fight through and find his identity here, and I think he's going to break through, and I think he's going to show himself profitable as a signing at some point. Chosen one. Lakers are the best team in the league, and it's not close. It's not. And I really thought the Nets were going to be it. But I'm telling you, the Nets are going to have chemistry issues. I'm saying it over and over and over again. I don't know why this keeps getting overlooked by pundits and people that we're talking to who are fans of other teams. I know your roster looks great, but what is your chemistry? What is your chemistry? Now, for the Nets, and this is not talking bad about them, but the chemistry is great between KD and Kyrie, but that's not the team. Those are the two people. How is the chemistry with the team? And that's what's different here. AD and LeBron, great chemistry. But the Lakers in general, they all ride for each other. Listen to the post game. Listen to how players are speaking about the leadership of each other and how they're gassing each other up and how they're hyping up Trez and how they're hyping up THT and how they're valuing Alex Caruso and they're even Kuzma. They're talking about Kuzma. The organization from top to bottom, the chemistry is much different. That is why it's not close. Not because other people don't have talent. Plenty of teams have great talent, and we're going to get beat just strictly off talent on some nights. But chemistry, pure championship pedigree, culture, and then, of course, your leadership with LeBron James, you can't lose. Can't lose. Groovin' all. I love Boogie, but he has his issues staying on the floor. We could have used them, but not if he can't stay on the floor. Howard's a different story. And this is what I was trying to tell people, man. This you cannot equate Boogie and Dwight Howard, okay? Because I know a lot of people were saying we should have kept completely different things, okay? Boogie knew what he can do. Boogie wasn't like bounced around the league because he was a bad player. He got injured. He was with the Golden State Warriors, got injured. That's why he was free to come roam somewhere else. He got here, got injured, okay? The issues for Boogie are twofold. Number one, can we keep him on the court? Because can we keep him injury-free and on the court? And if he's on the court, can we keep him from getting thrown out? I want to point it out again. This is only the 11th game of the season. He's already been tossed out of a game twice. Tonight was the second time he's been tossed out of a game. Okay? Dwight Howard came in. You've been bounced out of the league. Nobody knew what was going to happen with you. You weren't showing very much promise. You were a cancer in every locker room. And the Lakers said, listen, we will give you a chance to redeem yourself here, but here are the stipulations. That's not the same conversation you're having with Boogie. You're not giving Boogie stipulations when another team is waiting to give him double-digit millions for a contract. No one was waiting to give Dwight Howard any millions for a contract. The Lakers didn't even give him millions for a contract. We didn't even give him a guaranteed contract at first, okay? Dwight Howard showed himself because he had something to prove. Boogie has nothing to prove outside of can I stay on the court. So those conversations are totally different. But in this sense, when you're talking about having him, it would have been great to have Boogie, but I don't, and to be honest with you, I think Boogie would have done well in this culture. I don't think Boogie would have had too much of an issue with technicals because he would have had leadership on the floor that would have stopped him. The Rockets don't have that leadership. They don't have that leadership on the floor. Who's going to stop you from getting thrown out? Harden? Okay. John Wall? No. Okay. LeBron James will stop you. Okay. Somebody will pull you on the side. And Jason Kidd, you got a Hall of Fame coach on the side who goes, come here, boy. Stop that. Cut it out. Come sit down over here. Like you'll have that. They don't have that. Okay. And I think that it would have been great to keep him, but there's no possible way we could have a conversation with Boogie about coming here for a non-guaranteed or a veteran's min. And you have somebody like the Rockets who are like, we'll give you minutes, and we'll give you double-digit million. We'll give you money, Doc. We'll set you up, okay? Mex Picks on Periscope. How do you feel about Trez's pick-and-roll defense? Trez is struggling. We've all known that Trez is not a tremendous defender at all. Tremendous is not even in the stratosphere for him. But I'm going back to the identity talk. Talk to me, family, okay? I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. When you have an identity on the team, then you know what your role is, okay? Your role, Trez, is to try to play defense, but what we really need you to do is be aggressive, energy, get rebounds, and do putbacks. That's what we need. We need you to be able to create your own dribble, keep the pressure on the paint on the offensive end, and at least be energetic on the defensive end to get rebounds. Now, he did that tonight. I want to point it out. Out of the 8 rebounds that he had, only 2 of them were offensive, which that means is on the defensive end, he may not have the length and he may not be able to stop people from shooting, but he can get those defensive rebounds. Okay, so Trez, rebound, give us energy, create your own shot. That's what we need from Trez. I would love to be able to say, man, he's grown as a pick and roll defender, but if he doesn't, that's not what they signed him for. Okay, he wasn't given the 6th man of the year because he was pick and roll defender. And I'm not saying that you were insinuating that next picks. I'm saying I just want to make sure that we're all clear. Every player on this team was signed for an identity purpose. Okay, Schroeder, we need someone to take the ball, take the pressure off Bron, and be able to work. And listen, he's doing that. Even when his point totals are up, he's at least being able to give LeBron James some opportunities to get some rest while on the floor. Okay. We all know that. If you go down the roster from KCP to Caruso to everybody, the only person that we're missing on that is Kuzma. But for Trez, I'm not looking for him to play pick and roll defense. I just look at him, I go, he's probably going to get burned on that one. But hopefully somebody can come weak side and help. Vogel called this an identity win. Very appropriate. Once again, the word keeps coming up. I ain't even seen it. Let me pull up Twitter while I'm at it. All Black Everything. Do me a favor, bro. Keep me up to date with what's happening on the Twitter sphere because I'm missing all the interviews. This is an identity game. It wasn't even so much about wins or losses. It was about Vogel is trying to find how does this rotation work and what's the best use for this rotation. Every team is going to have issues, okay? So you can't rely on the when you see the team, you're seeing them at full strength. Because even tonight was an anomaly with Boogie Cousins being out so early in the game. But you're going to see teams that are missing people from protocol, all that stuff. So you have to be really self-focused and self-centric for you to be, really self-centric. You have to be able to look at yourself and go, where are we growing in the areas that we need to grow in? And tonight we saw that. We saw THT take some steps. We saw this offense take some steps. Look at these point totals tonight. And it's not, once again, it's not ideal, but it's what we want to see. Everybody scored, but look at this. Anthony Davis led the way. 27 points. That's a great thing. 27 points in 30 minutes with 3 blocks. You love to see that. LeBron James, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, and 18 points. He was aggressive. 30 minutes. Love to see it. LeBron and AD collectively shot, they shot 27 shots. Collectively. That's not bad to me. That's not bad. 27 shots and they scored almost 50 points. That's not bad to me. Okay. Marc Gasol, did you do what you had to do tonight? 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 points in 25 minutes. I love to see that. I'm not mad at that. That's probably the average about what he's going to do. Schroeder. Now this is probably one area where I would love to see him a little bit better, but 7 assists. Remember what I said? We want his assist totals to go up. Assist. He's at 7. He was averaging about 3 or 4 prior. He was at 7 tonight. 2 steals, 2 blocks, 8 points was a plus 17. You love to see that. 1 of 3 from the 3-point line. Not mad at it. KCP only played 22 minutes, but had 7 points. Shot the 3, defended well, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. So you're watching this. Steals are happening. Tonight, the Lakers had 13 steals and 8 blocks. The defense stepped up tonight. Identity is starting to form around that, and that's what we can hang our hat on. More than the double-digit win was how we won that game. It wasn't just a bunch of scoring. The defense really made a statement tonight. James White, I think that THT's ascent will reduce Wesley Matthews' minutes. Kuzma will still contribute. Now, here's the thing. Now, we've already learned what Wesley Matthews' identity is in this game, okay? Wesley Matthews' identity for this game is 3-point shooting, catch and shoot, period. You are Ray Allen. Not the talent level, but we're not looking for you to be a decent defender, which we appreciate, but he's not going to be Caruso or KCP, and probably when THT hits his prime, he won't even be THT. But the fact that you can shoot 4 of 8 from 3, 3 of 5 from 3, you can give us those. You can hit 6 threes in a row in a game. This is still early, only 11 games in. His identity is strictly catch and shoot. So he's brought in to do a thing when it's necessary. It's not so much about how many minutes in this sense for this team. It's about where you need it against the teams. Can you help us build a lead? Can you keep the run going? Can you give us momentum plays? Things like that. And Wesley Matthews is meant to be able to shoot threes. So you're probably going to see him in lineups where you have some tremendous playmakers. A Dennis Schroeder, a LeBron. You're definitely going to see Wesley playing with LeBron a lot. You're going to start seeing him being kind of in the corner where he's waiting off ball as somebody drives to the hole. You might see him in late game situations where they need 3-point shooting to be able to catch back up on leads or keep a lead going or to hit a critical shot. So it's not even so much about how many minutes, it's about the placement and their specialty. But I do agree that you're going to see THT take an ascent because THT can do things differently than Wesley and differently than Kuzma and really more. He can defend at a higher clip. He can shoot. He's starting to really get that 3 back to be consistent, and he can get to the cup. These are things that neither Wesley nor Kuz can do collectively, okay? So THT kind of gives you the all-around game, while the other two are really much more catch-and-shoot specialists. I thought, Winston Mobile Apps, LBJ seems to be rounding into shape. Yeah, and you're probably going to see him take a few games off. I think LeBron wanted to make a statement against the Rockets tonight, if I'm being honest. I haven't heard anything about the Christian Wood stuff, and they may not even say anything about it, but I think it's not a coincidence that somebody would say what they said. A young guy who's great, who's a tremendous player. And once again, I keep saying this, he's not saying it disrespectfully. He was saying it basically saying, I want to put myself up against the best. And we love to hear that. That's fantastic. But LeBron loves to put young kids in their place when he's playing them. He loves it. That's like, it drives him. And I think tonight you saw him kick it up a notch because he was extra motivated. Now you may see him take off the next game. I don't know. We'll see. But tonight he showed himself. I thought Trez neutralized Tucker Gruvenall. Yeah, absolutely. Tucker, you know, and it's so hard because Tucker's also having an issue with the Rockets. The Rockets are having huge organizational issues in general, which bleeds into your play. Tucker, as we know, who's really their corner 3 specialist, was 1 of 4 from 3, had 4 points, a turnover, a block, 2 steals, and a rebound. Wasn't very efficient tonight, but he's also somebody who's fighting in the contracts and things like that. It's tough. But look, I mean, I want you to think about this. Look at their starting lineup, and this is what's crazy. PJ Tucker, Christian Wood, John Wall, John Harden, and it says David Nwaba, who used to be a Laker as well. But, I mean, really, you could have put Cousins, Eric Gordon in there. McLemore's good. So they have a squad, but their chemistry is just terrible. So part of the neutralization was just, I think Tucker just is not in sync with that team and really unsure about his future with that team. And I think it bleeds over into the game. When you play 30 minutes to score 4 points, when you're known to shoot threes, it makes a difference. Lorenzo Robinson Jr. on Periscope. In the playoffs, AD should be guarding more pick and roll action to allow Trez to stay help side. Absolutely right. Yeah, AD is going to be the anchor far more as the 5 in the playoffs. And you'll probably see a lot of AD playing the 4 and not doing a lot of this anchoring simply because they're trying to spare him from playing the 5 as much because they need him in the playoffs. That's where the real run's going to be. But when the playoffs start, I guarantee you when Trez is on the floor, AD will be there as help side. It is more beneficial, as crazy as it sounds, it's more beneficial for Trez to play with AD than for Trez to play with Bron. And we already know that Vogel is staggering minutes. So a lot of times you'll see LeBron go to the bench first, AD stay on for an entire quarter, and you'll probably see some of the bench players come in, which will be Trez. So Trez is able to still keep all the energy banged down low and then be able to allow Anthony Davis to do what he has to do on the help side. And really, between Trez's energy and AD's defensive IQ and defensive skills, that's a great pairing when they get in sync. Because essentially Trez can force the player to go to the cup, even if he jumps and mistimes a jump or goes for a block that he shouldn't go for. Just knowing that the player's going to try to do something to get past him and have to run into Anthony Davis, that's going to be a nightmare for guards. Jason Jeter, what else would you like Gasol to do to make an impact on this team? Continue to be a championship leader. Continue to pass. I just want to see him I want to see him as a high passer. I want to see him at the top of the key, and I want to see him being able to cut. When we see him passing and doing bounce passes, that is exactly what is needed when LeBron James is off the floor. And when you have a Schroeder who's able to cut to the hole, you can draw the 5 out with Marc Gasol staying at the top. This is part of the reason why I said Marc Gasol cannot stop shooting threes, because all he has to do is make 1 out of the 3 or 4 that he shoots, and it keeps the defense honest and draws the 5 out. Drawing the 5 out allows him to find a Schroeder, a Kuzma, a Wesley Matthews, anybody cutting to the hole, and it just makes the offense just flow. It's very difficult for a team to cover when Marc Gasol has the ball standing as tall as he is and being able to see the entire floor at the top of the key and be able to just pick off defenders and make passes that defenders don't think he can make. When he does that, good God, that man's amazing. And I don't care if he don't score a point, but if he can give me some assists, oh my God, it's fantastic. That's what I want from him tonight. All right, that's what I want from him in general. Tonight, he had a couple of plays that I like when he was just being aggressive and trying to get to the cup. It got people in foul trouble. And like I said, when they figured out the refs were calling it strict, it changed the entire dimension of the team. They started getting aggressive in the paint, drawing fouls in the whole 9, and it made a difference in how the Rockets were pretty much on their heels the entire night. Schroeder has no turnovers. AC had no turnovers, and that's good to see, man. Like, that means more to me than him. You know, if he would have had 30 points tonight, if he would have had 4 turnovers, I still would have looked at him crazy. Tonight he had 8 points and no turnovers. That to me matters. But 2 blocks, 2 steals with 7 assists as well really makes me feel like, okay, you're getting it. We need you to get other players involved. Be a playmaker. We know you can get to the cup. We know you can shoot threes. But what we really need you to do is get this offense involved so that LeBron James doesn't have to be the initiator for 40 minutes every night. All Black everything. 80 in the postgame. Every game we won't be able to make shots. Made it a point tonight to be more active and get our hands in the passing lanes. Stated that at the half. Vogel told him. Yeah. So Vogel, see, once again, Vogel's a halftime adjustment person. So I'm glad AD said that. Thank you so much, Al Black. I appreciate that. I needed to see that. So AD knows, man. This team has tremendous offensive ability. They know that. But every offensive team has off nights, okay? Every team has off nights. What made the Lakers so dangerous is that when they had off nights, their defense never suffered. And so they had to get to that tonight. They had to get back on that tonight. Okay. I missed all that. Stated that at the half, Vogel told them that their defense was off the charts but could be better. Missed opportunities for more stops. Was pleased to hold them to 46 at the half, but they know the next game they'll come out firing. Still searching for who they can be defensively, looking to stay perfect on the road. I love it. Thank you, man. So, think about that. Vogel says you guys are playing off the charts defensively. It could be better. That's why I love defensive coaches. That's why I love it. And I love this coaching squad. This may be the last year we see them together, to be honest, because I think Jason Kidd's going to get hired somewhere. But you have a great mind like Lionel Hollins of the defensive end, Vogel. You have Jason Kidd. You have Phil Handy. These guys are the perfect combination of complex situations, man. And they're able to kind of get more. So when you look at a team that's doing great offensively, doing great defensively, and you talk to them at half and it's like, look, man, y'all doing great. Let's make it better. And they make it better. They make it better and end up winning by 18 points. That matters, man. LeBron on THT. He does it on both sides of the floor, and then he just listens. He's a sponge, and he can apply it right away. Big game for the kid, and he's still growing into his own. You see the chemistry? You see the difference? Okay? You see the difference here? Now, LeBron can call him a kid. I obviously just said he's not a kid anymore, right? I just said that. But he's saying it right there. These are the things that make THT dangerous. He's a sponge. He applies it right away, and he still has room to grow. Every game, you're going to see his ascent do this. Some games, he's going to dip in the valley. You may see a couple games where he scores 5 points. It's a negative 19. But when you see him come back up, you'll see 17-point games. And I'm telling you, by the time we get to the playoffs, you're going to see a stretch of games where he probably has 20 points consistently over a stretch of games. I love this kid. I love him. And he's beyond his years. I said it. He's 20 in age, but he is not as young as his age says. So, what do we have to look forward to? They mentioned it. They know that the Rockets are going to come out firing. Tonight, what you saw, some of these things were anomalies. James Harden had 20 points and was only 2 of 8 from 3. If anybody knows James Harden, that is not normal. Okay? So you're probably going to see him far more consistent from the 3. You're probably going to see them shoot more threes. Tonight, they only shot 41 threes. The Lakers only shot 29, but shot at a higher clip at 34%. You're going to see them shoot more. You're going to see PJ Tucker being a little bit more active. You're definitely going to see Boogie for a longer period of time unless he does something stupid. Christian Wood is about what you're going to see. 23 points, 10 of 20. He shot 5 threes. I don't think that was the point. I think where Christian Wood was shooting threes is normally where Boogie would be, and Boogie's a far better 3-point shooter than Christian Wood is. And here's the biggest key here that throws me off that you're probably not going to see. The Rockets only had 23 foul shots tonight. Lakers had 24. That's not normal, okay? Normally, the Rockets are people who get to the foul line, and you're probably going to see an attack to the inside. They're going to probably try to expose Marc Gasol. The refs are going to call it different. You're going to see a lot of complaining, and I think tonight was a statement for the refs, but I don't think it's going to be the same tightness on the next game. So the Lakers are going to have to really be smart with their fouls, keep these guys off the three-point line, run them off, and then be able to figure out to do defensive rotations to switch to help on pick and rolls and things like that. It's going to be a different game on this next one, but I fully expect the Lakers to be able to win that game and move to 9-3. And once again, we're undefeated on the road. For whatever reason, this happened last year. The Lakers played different when they're away from home, and I think a part of that is because the chemistry when they're at home is they come, they practice, they play a game, and they go home. When you're on the road, especially like you are here, you're with the same cats, the same group for days. It's almost like the bubble effect, and that bubble effect causes it to spill out on the court. And because these guys are so well together off the court, it matters on the court. And I think the more time they spend with each other on the road, you're going to see games like this, which I love to see. I can't be mad at it. This show, low nice. Thank you, man. Debo Bangs, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. Listen, now, with that being said, with the Rockets coming out differently, I don't want to overlook them. So when I'm going over to these next few games, this is what we normally do around the 45-minute mark. I want to just look at the schedule just so we're very clear about what's going on. When the Lakers are playing again in 2 days, and they're going to play the Rockets again, and it's probably going to be somewhat of the same. as far as the outcome, but the way we get there is going to be different. But look at what happens when we leave Houston. We go to OKC. We come back and we play New Orleans and Golden State. Golden State is starting to find an identity. These teams are far different than the teams we've been playing. Every time we get to a different team, what you want to look for is how does Vogel adjust for the difference in skill set for each team. OKC is not the same team. Obviously, Chris Paul is not there. It's a much different team. Okay, but that's still a game you could potentially lose if you don't walk into it at least with some expectation, at least with some fervency, man, at least with some like zeal to get in there, man, and start trying to win this game. They don't really have the same people that they had before in regards to playmakers, but listen, I mean, you got an Al Horford who can do some things. You're probably not going to see Trevor Ariza. It's a very winnable game if the Lakers take it seriously. And I know it's like you look at that roster, you're like, nah, you don't have to take it. Those teams are the most dangerous. Are the teams that ain't got nothing to lose. Okay, those teams are the most dangerous, and they're also 5-4. They have a better record than the Rockets, I believe. So you got to look at them and take them seriously. New Orleans is going to be a good one because that's all athleticism. Brandon Ingram, Lonzo, Zion, Steven Adams. That's going to be a big problem because Steven Adams, we don't have an answer for him outside of Anthony Davis, and you don't really want Anthony Davis playing the 5 too much. So it's going to be, you're looking at how the dimensions will change. Houston's probably going to be much more about defending the perimeter and stopping the pick and roll. But these other guys are going to be about keeping, Oklahoma City is going to be an energy game. Can we get energy from our guys when there's no bulletin board material to motivate us? And then New Orleans is, can we stay and can we keep up with these young guys? LeBron said they got younger. They got rid of people because they wanted to get younger. Well, here's an opportunity. Out of all the people you face, this is probably the youngest team you're going to face, is New Orleans. And New Orleans runs up and down the court. Now, they're not very good, but they can run you ragged. And if you're not careful, especially because you're at home, and we don't play well at home for some reason, when we're at home, we had to find a way to win that game. And then Golden State is just, we already know how that feels. Okay, we already know what that is. That's a young team led by Steph Curry that is finding ways to win. And if you're not careful, they can erase double-digit leads as we saw them do against the Clippers, who lost the 20-point plus lead again in a quarter. Any case, I appreciate y'all being with me, man. I really do appreciate y'all. It's always great to sit and chat with you guys. All Black Everything. Once again, my man, I appreciate you doing what you did tonight. It was much appreciated. Everybody else on here, I thank y'all for tuning in. Listen, the next game, we're going to have a lot to talk about because it's going to give us a good barometer of where we're at coming into that 12th game. And then we'll look forward to what does the rest of the season look like for this team. And you're probably going to see the rotations get a little bit more solidified on this next one as Vogel looks to expand the dimensions of this team defensively. So you're going to see a lot more defensive schemes, I anticipate, next game. But until then, please don't forget, Mamba out, but not forgotten.